Hello and welcome back to the channel. So in the last video we looked at an overview of this UI over here, and in this video we'll be looking at how to actually build it in Flutter, and we are going to go through every single decision that needs to be taken in order to build this UI. What you need to consider if you are given a UI that looks something like this, or in general when building UIs, how do you even structure it? So that's what we are going to look at in code today. Now, in order to start, I've created a new Flutter project, and in the home of my app, I just have a home page widget, which is a stateless widget, and it's written an empty scaffold. So if I run this app, realize that I just have a white screen over here, which is the empty scaffold over here. So the first thing we realize from this UI is that the whole UI is set in a dark mode. In order to build something like this, you first have to make sure that you are in dark mode, and I'm going to teach you how to configure dark mode in Flutter. So in order to set up your app in dark mode, just come to the material app, and then we have a theme over here. By default, the theme here is light mode, right? So this is the light mode theme. Now in order to implement dark mode, what you need to do is that there is a field here called dark theme, and then you provide a theme data for that. That is all. So I can just copy this like this and then paste it here, and now my app supports both dark mode and then light mode. Just very easy, you are done. But as you can see, we still have a white screen over here which indicates that we are in light mode. So how do we then switch to dark mode? Now by default, the theme in which the user is in is the theme of the system, right? So the user's system, which is the mobile phone. If it's in light mode, the app is going to be in light mode. If it's in dark mode, the app is going to be in dark mode. You can force the user to be in dark mode on your app by default by setting the theme mode instead of system to theme mode.dark. And now when I save and hot restart, this app should be in dark mode. But unfortunately, we are not in dark mode because I left one thing out when I was configuring the dark theme. So in the color scheme .from seed, which is this color scheme, we have to specify that our brightness is brightness.dark. So that's what differentiates the light mode from the dark mode. And now when I save, the app turns into dark theme. So this was what I left out, the brightness. So we now have light mode and dark mode configured. Now the next thing we will look at is the colors. So realize that this color is purple and this color is more of a blue color. So I inspected the colors over here by using a tool I have installed on my laptop. So this, and then I had a color that looks something like this, right? So that was the color I used as the main color scheme. In order to set up that color, instead of using seed color colors.deep purple, I'm going to use a custom color. So that is going to be the color for both light mode and then dark mode. Although we are developing in dark mode, I want to also set up the light mode configuration. So instead of having colors.deep purple like this, we are going to have colors.color. Right from RGBO, which is red, green, blue opacity, and we are going to pass in these values 137, and then the green is going to be 217 and 242, and the opacity is going to be 1. So this color you see over here is similar to the color used in the UI. Now I just inspected that color. I didn't actually know it was going to be this. I just inspected and had this value, right? And that's what I'm using over here. So we can just copy this seed color from RGBO and then paste it here. And now you see, realize that the background changes to the scaffold background changes according to this our primary color, which is the seed color. Now the next thing we want to do is to configure our text. So we don't have any text on screen now, but then I can tell you that this text isn't the default text for iOS app with Flutter. So in order to do this, let's go to our perspec.yaml and then add the Google Fonts package. So I'm going to move these comments so that this place is less cluttered. So now under the dependencies where we have Flutter, you have to make sure that you're on the same line as the Flutter. So just here, I'm going to hit enter and then type my Google font over here. So I want autocomplete to automatically add the latest version of Google Fonts here. So when I hit enter, this is going to automatically add a Google Fonts dependency here. If you can't do it like this for whatever reason, you can just go to pub.dev and copy the latest version of Google Fonts and paste it here. As at this time of the recording, the latest version was this, but then in the future it might change. So we now have Google Fonts added to our package, and we can use any font from the Google Fonts library. So what we are going to do is that within the theme data, we can also set up a text theme. Right now, text theme is going to be a Google Fonts Poppins text theme, because that's the text theme I chose to go with this design. You can use any of your favorite font families for this. So Poppins text theme, and just like this, we are done. We have configured our app to use the Poppins text theme. Now in dark mode, it is a little bit different. So I'm going to copy the same thing for the dark theme, but instead of just leaving it like this, we have to pass in theme data and theme data dot dark dot text theme. If you don't pass in this, which is theme data dot dark dot text theme, you realize that in dark mode some of your text will still be black, and I don't know why the Google Fonts package doesn't take care of that automatically, but there's what I found to work. Right, so theme data dot dark dot text theme should make sure that your text theme works well in dark mode when you're using Google Fonts. So that's the basic thing we will do over here. Now, starting with the actual coding, in our home page, as we discussed in the previous video, we are going to have this card over here. It's a row that will contain two cards, a text, and then a list of list styles that will be spread into this page. Now we are going to take things one after the other. I also like to teach you in this video how to configure your widgets at the theme level so that you prevent a lot of repetition, because if you look at this design, most of the cards we are seeing over here have some kind of a constant border radius, and you don't want to be repeating this border radius everywhere you need a card. You understand? So we can configure this at the theme level so that all cards in our app have this specific border radius or shape. So that's what we are going to do for this particular video. So in the home page scaffold, we realize that we don't have an app bar as we discussed in the last video. If you didn't watch it, you can go and watch that one or just continue alongside. So we are going to go straight to the body, and then the body is going to be a list view widget. The reason is that our page will be scrollable. As indicated by the UI, some of the contents are hidden, which means that the user should be able to scroll this whole page. So within the list view, we are going to have children. Now we can just for now put something like a text here that says home page, just like this, and we should be fine. One thing you realize immediately is that the text is touching the edges of the screen, right? And we don't want to have that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply padding to this list view. So padding edge insert.all, and I'm going to give it a value of 20. And as soon as I give it some kind of a padding, we see that our text is under the notification, right? So how do we fix that? And I intentionally left it out so that it looks like that. I want you to know the situations that you may go in when building UIs. So we realize that this is not a safe area for our text to be in. So in order to fix this, let's wrap our list view in a special widget called safe area. Now what this safe area widget will do is that it will constrain our widgets. They don't go outside of the body that's dedicated for the app, right? So that's going to be the function of the safe area. Now realize that our text is just here, and that fixes the issue. So within the list view, we are going to have the premium card. So I'm going to put some comments over here so that you know what we are doing. So premium card, and then after that we are going to have a row that has 2 cards. Then we are going to have a text, maybe a hidden text. Then we are going to have a list of tiles, right? So I call these things list tiles. So these are going to be our list tiles, and we are going to style them at the global level, which is the team level. So this is what our list view should look like, the children of the list view. Let's start with the premium card, which is the card we have over here. Right, this is going to be our premium card. That's what I call the premium card. So I'm going to create a widget specifically for that because I don't want to put everything in the list view. So come here, and I'm going to create a new directory or folder called widget, and I'm going to put the widget I'll use for this page within this folder. So premium plan card, and this is going to be a stateless widget. So premium plan card like this, and for now it's a card, so let's return card. And then in the latest version of Flutter we have card.fill, card.outlined, and I realize card.fill fits best for this case, so I'm going to use card.fill. And then back on the home page we can render our premium card, so premium card like this. Good. Now we can't really see anything in our premium card because there is nothing there. This card.fill doesn't even know how big it should be, so like we are actually not seeing anything because there is no content, and also doesn't know how big it should be. So let's start putting something within our premium plan card. So the first thing we want to do is that if you look at the whole structure of this premium plan card, I'm going to take it like a row, right? So there are 2 main contents here. Let's break it down. We have a card, and then within the card we have a text with a button, and then we have an image here. So the best way to put this is in a row. How did I even know it's a row? One, it is experience building different UI. Sometimes you use column and then you get stuck somewhere and realize, oh, okay, a row will be a better alternative. And the more you do that, you become more aware of what you need to do when you meet something like that. When you meet a case like this, we are going to use a row, and then we have a text here with a button as well as the image to the right. So card.fill, the child of this is going to be a row, and then we are going to have some children. Now within the children we can add some comments and say this is going to be the text part of the row, and then the second part to be the image. Now realize that the text part of this row is going to be a column according to the UI, so a column with some children. Now within this column, this is where we are going to have our text. So if you look at the image over here, realize that we have our text, some space, and then a text, and then some space. So let's have our first text, and then that is going to be a text that says premium plan, right? And things are not really looking good, but they will be well. So premium plan, and the next text is going to be harness. So harness the power or the full power, and if I can type full power of AI with a premium plan. Right, and that's what we have. Now immediately we can see a lot of issues with our card. The first issue with our card is that the text are touching the edges of the card too much. So in order to fix that, we need to have some kind of padding within the card, and the best way to do that is to wrap the immediate child of this card in a padding widget. So wrap its padding, and let's give it a value of 14. So 14 should look good. and then we have padding first before any other child, so that creates a space within the card. Now the second issue is that the texts are aligned, which we don't want that by default. So you may come to the text and then change the alignment, but that's not the solution when you are in a column. The reason is that when you use a column, by default it centers its children in the cross axis by default. So we are going to set a cross axis alignment to cross axis alignment dot start, and in a column there is the main axis, which is a column, so the main axis is the vertical axis, and the cross axis is the opposite of the main axis, which is this. If you are in a row, the main axis is the row, which is where, when we say a row, what it means, and then the cross axis is the opposite of that row. You understand? So the cross axis in a row becomes vertical. So column cross axis alignment is going to be a start. Then it means that, hey, align your children to the start, which is the start of the row cross axis. Good. Now the next thing is we need to style these texts. So if you look at the image, we realize that this is dark, and this is also dark. Also the font size are different. So we are going to use a text style from our theme, and because we are going to use our theme a lot, I'm going to create a variable for the theme here, which is going to just be theme.ofContext. Right, now we can access the properties we defined in our theme, which is the theme data, as well as the default theme that comes with every Flutter app, so the configuration within the default theme. So by default we have some text styles defined for us, and we are looking for a title text style. So theme.texttheme.title large, and we have an issue here which says that invalid constant value, so it means we need to remove the cons from here. And when we do that, we see that the text is big but not bold like in the UI. So I'm going to copy everything we have in that text style, which is the title large text style, and see that the font weight of this should be bold. So font weight dot bold, and by doing this we have premium plan, which is bold. So I'm going to go to the next text, which is this, and then style it as well. So with this one, what we are looking for is title small, so theme.texttheme.title small, and then we want to copy everything. So copy width, and then also change the color, right? Because we want the color, both color, to be black. Now in order to make this color black, we first have to change the background of this card. So back here within the card.fill, we can change the background by just doing color and then passing in a color, which is theme.colorscheme.primary. Now when I do theme.colorscheme.primary, I'm accessing my primary color from my color scheme, which is this color we see over here. And because of this, the color of the text is not visible. So in order to also fix that, let's just come to the text and say that our color on the text is not going to be any color, but then a good color on a primary. So it's going to be theme.colorscheme.onPrimary, and Flutter by default knows the color that looks good on a primary background, which is this black. So then it returns a black color. You don't have to come here and then do black blah blah blah. If you do that manually, it means that you have trouble switching themes, right? Because if someone is on light mode, you still want to have a color that looks good on your primary. You understand? So that's why it's beneficial to configure things at the theme level. Now this also will have a color, which is a color that looks good on primary. Now the only issue we have over here is that the space between these two texts is too small. So I'm going to put, you can wrap this text with a padding or just put a sizer box here, and I'm going to give it a height of 4, right? And then we have some kind of a good space. Now next, I'm going to also put some sizer box here, and then give it a height of 16, which is some space before the button. After that, we are going to put our button. So our button is going to be an elevated button. Elevated. button, and not just elevated button, but an elevated button dot icon. And what that means is that we want a button that has an icon. So on press is going to be a function. Icon, we are looking for icons dot bold, right? And then the label, we are looking for a text that says upgrade now, and now like this. And we see that our button looks good. The only issue with our button is that it is fully rounded, whereas in the UI our button wasn't fully rounded. So that's the only issue we have at the moment. So how do we fix this issue? We want all our buttons to have this border radius. So it's a good practice to do this at the team level, right? So what I'm going to do is that instead of coming over here and then styling this specific button or creating a widget that returns a button, like all those kind of things are unnecessary just for styling purposes. So I'm going to go to my main.dat, and then under the theme, and I'm going to configure this for both light theme and then dark theme, we are going to override the button theme. What we are going to do over here is that we are going to say that our elevated button theme is going to be an elevated button theme data, and then we can apply the styles over here. Now the only style we want to apply over here is going to be the shape style. So elevated button dot style from, and that's how you style an elevated button, right? So basically, if we didn't even want to do this at a team level but style that specific button, we would have written elevated button dot style from, add a style property of the button, which is that specific button. So elevated button dot style from, and then we pass in the styles we want to provide. So in this particular case, we don't want to change the background, we just want to change the shape, and we don't have border radius here in case you wanted to just adjust the border radius. What you are looking for is shape. So whenever you don't have border radius and you have shape, it's a good indicator that you can still modify the border radius. So I'm going to go with a rounded rectangle border shape. Now as soon as I do this, there is not going to be any change, but if I hot restart, because whenever you make a change in the material app, you need to hot restart. So, and there's still not any change. So what I'm thinking is, let's apply some kind of a border radius first. So border radius, and then I want to do border radius dot circular, because I want a circular border radius, and give it a value of 12. Now let's hot restart again, and this is still not working, and I don't know why. Oh, okay, so why it's not working is because we are doing this under the light theme, right? So let's copy this and then bring it into the dark theme. And we see that immediately our button changes the border radius, right? I didn't even have to hot restart because I think it's no longer necessary. But then the border radius of the button is changed. And if you feel there's too much going on over here, like let's say we are repeating stuff, and also you don't want your main.dat to be cluttered with this theme configuration, it's very simple. You can create a file called maybe theme or anything you want to call it, and then just write these stuff in. That's all. Just have to write this theme data or copy and paste it in a different file and then import it. And also when you have it in a different file, you can easily reference from the light theme, because most of the things over here are the same as the light theme, which is for instance the button is the same as the light theme, so you can just reference the one from the light theme. But since this is not a very big project, we want to keep everything within the main.dat file. In a complex project, you prefer having these configurations in a separate file and just reference the variables or the class here, right? I hope that is very clear. So that's going to fix our button. And next we are looking at our image. So premium plan card, we are done with the text part of the row. So I can collapse this, which is the column. I can collapse this, and then we are looking for our image. Now I didn't find the exact image used in this UI, so I went for a different image, which is this robot image over here. It doesn't look exactly the same, but that was the closest thing I could find. So I'm going to copy this robot, come to my directory over here, and then create a new directory called assets. Now within this asset directory, I'm going to paste what I just copied, which is the robot image. So robot.png, and there is the robot. Now in order to access it, we need to first tell Flutter that we will bring in some kind of asset. So if you scroll down a bit, you realize that they have some example over here. To add asset to your application, add an asset section like this. So I'm going to just make this comment because I know how to do it. Uncomment this or remove the hash from there. So I'm going to uncomment, and immediately I get an error, which means it is not aligned well. Look at this, uses material, and then look at this, assets. So I have to just hit backspace 1 to align it so that they are all in the same order. It's not like the asset is rather under the use material design property. Also, I have to uncomment this, and then I have to say that this is going to be assets /. Now what this means is that I want to be able to access everything within the assets directory immediately within the asset directory. That's what it means. So if you create a new folder in the asset directory, let's say my images, like asset images, and then you put this guy here, you have to come and do asset images /. That means we want to have access to everything within the asset images directory. If you want to just have access to a specific file, I can just do asset images robot.png. But I'm just going to leave it like this. So just assets, and then I'm going to copy this into the asset directory just like this, and delete the images folder. So this, just like this, right? Now what that means is that we can access our image using image.asset and then passing the path. So we have assets /robot.png, and now when we save, it seems there is an issue, so let's hot restart. Oh, and we have an overflow. So the reason why we have the overflow is that first, the image is too big, so I'm going to adjust the size of this image. I'm going to make the width 140, and that still doesn't fix it because the text over here is too long. So how do we fix that? Let's first wrap this column in a widget called expanded or flexible. They both work, and that immediately fixes it. So what's happening over here? Expanded is saying that, hey, I want to prioritize every widget other than this widget. In other words, lay out all the widgets in this row. When you finish, then you give the remaining space to me. So we are first laying out the image, then we are saying, hey, how much space is left? Only give that space to the column so that the column knows its boundary. Like, hey, after I've laid out this image, which is after I've placed this image, and then I have like 50% of the card size available, that is the only part that belongs to the column. So the column can't overflow that. It has to maybe wrap its text or do whatever is necessary. I hope that makes sense. So that's going to be it for the premium plan card. Now if you want to change the text on these buttons, which is maybe the color or the color of the icon, you can easily do that. I don't want to change that because I felt I'm going to use this button. If it's an actual project, we're going to use this button in a lot of places, and I don't want to change the color of the text throughout the whole project. But if you want to do that, you can simply come here, and there is properties over here which you can use. So style, and then you can do elevated button.style from, and then you can change the color or whatever you want to change. So let's say I want to change the text color, foreground color, and we can do theme.color scheme, and and if I can get any color, primary, no, not this, I'm not looking for this. Let's say for now colors.white, right? So that's going to make it white. That's specific. It's just very simple. Elevator button dot star form, foreground color is colors.white, and that is all. You are done. I didn't change it because I wanted to keep that, but this is how you can change it if you're wondering how to do that. So that's going to be it for our premium plan card. Very simple, but I've taken my time to explain it so that when you are building it on your own, you know how to go about it. So back to the home page. The next thing we are going to have is a row that has these two cards there. If you look at the design, we have some row with some kind of a card, right? So let's look at that. First, let's have the row with children, right? And then the first child, we are going to call these cards ideal card. So ideal card. Now you can call it anything you want. I just prefer to call it that because I didn't have any valid name, any nice name for it. So idea or ideal, anyhow you pronounce it, card dot that, and then it's going to be a stateless widget. So ideal card, and this is also going to be card dot fill. So card and not this card dot fill like this. And within this ideal card, what we are going to do is, so we are going to define a fixed dimension for this card. So within the card, we are going to have a child, and then the child of this card is going to be a column. And why a column? Because this is very simple. We have an icon, we have some text. That's basically what we have in the card. So a column will be a good fit for this card. Now we also have some padding over here, so which means the first child in the card should not be a column but then a padding, so that the card has padding within it. And I'm going to provide it a padding of let's say 16, because that was what I think looked good. We can't really see the card because we are not rendering this card anywhere on the home page. So within this row, I'm going to put two ideal cards here, just two of them like this, and then we can see some small cards here, and I don't want them to be close to a premium card, so I'm going to put a sizer box with a height of 20, and you can use padding as well. You can just wrap this in the padding. Now within this ideal card, what I want to do is I want to give them a fixed dimension, as I said. So the first thing is I'm going to increase the height and height. I don't have height on card, so let's wrap this with a sizer box. Since we don't have any height on the card, which I'd forgotten, let's just wrap this in a sizer box, which will also do the same thing, and give it a height of 165. The reason is that the card will grow to be as big as its parent. Now we have this long cards, but the width is very small. The width is only the width of the padding. So in order to fix this, let's wrap this sizer box in a widget called expanded. Now whenever you have expanded, it says take all the available space that is left after the non-flex children have been laid out. This is trying to take the available space left, which is the first card. The second card is also trying to take the available space left. So in that case, they share the space equally. This is what we are going to have, right, for the cards. Now, I don't like the space in between because it's too small. So I'm going to put a sizer box with a width over here. And I think 20 is too big for what I want. So I'm going to change that to 10. Good. And this should look like this. Now within this ideal card, within the column, because we already have our pattern, we are going to have an icon, just like in the UI, right? We have an icon, but then this icon has a button, and this is not an icon button. You are not expecting the user to tap on this icon button, unless that's exactly what you want. So in order to have something that looks like an icon button but it's not actually an icon button, I'm going to use the circle avatar widget. So circle avatar, and the reason why I'm not getting any suggestions because of the const and child. Okay, also I don't have children here, so circle avatar, circle avatar, and our circle avatar doesn't really look good because the color and then also the alignment, and we know we are in a column. So what you have to do is to change the cross-axis alignment to cross-axis alignment.start, and then we need to also change the size, which is radius, to 25. Then we need to change the last thing, which is the background color. Now in order to get this background color, the perfect background color, I didn't really find a color in my theme for this purpose. There are so many ways to extend your theme to add more colors to it, but I felt this was just one case, and then the color that I also had would fit both light mode and dark mode. So I just went with a color like this and provided a value, and this is like a white color. I don't like this. I want ff3136 and then 38. So this is the color that I came up with. Not really the color I wanted. Let me copy this. So 3136. Remove this, and it's almost the same color that I picked, but it doesn't look the same for me here. So you can play along with this color to just find the perfect color for you. I'm going to put the child as an icon, and for now I could just go with icons dot, let's say, location. You can put any icon here, something like this. Now that's going to be for this circle avatar. Now we have the next text. So after this, we need to have some kind of a text, and then it's going to be generate ideas. If I can copy this again, and for some reason I'm unable to copy this, but generate ideas and write articles. So generate ideas and write articles, right? And this is what we have. So I don't really like the fact that they are together, so what I'm going to do is going to specify main axis alignment, which is how they should be aligned on the vertical, and then set it to main axis alignment dot space between, which is like, hey, let there be space between your children, right, on the main axis, which is a way of alignment in Flutter. I also don't like this text, the styling, so I'm going to change it a little bit, and because of that I'm going to create a theme variable here, because I'm going to access something from my theme, and the style will change to theme.offContext. So not theme.offContext, theme.text theme dot, I'm looking for body medium, and then invalid constant. So I want to copy width and then change the font weight to be bold. Right, now this looks okay. So as you can see, the colors and the text are all the same, and we don't want something like this. Because of that, what we are going to do is, whenever we are using this ideal card, we want to specify what color, what text and then icon the ideal card should have. So we are going to create a slot here, which is going to be, so it's going to be a string text, and also we are going to create another slot, which is going to be the icon, which is of type icon data. Therefore we can come to where we are hard coding the icon and then put our icon here, right? And this can't be const because it's dynamic now. We are changing the thing over here, and then the text will also have our text like this, and that is going to throw an error in the home page because we are not passing that in, right? We have an error here, final, so we didn't require this, and then that's going to throw an error in our home page because we need to pass in our icon and then our text as well. Just pass that in, and I'm going to put an icon which is icons.edit location outlined, and I'm also going to put a text which is generate ideas and write articles. Right, that's going to be it for the first one. I can just copy this and paste this here. Right, now if you look at the second text, which is generate pictures and art, generate pictures and art, and then we can also change the icon, which is very simple to do at this point. I don't really have any icon in mind, but let me check icons.image. Not really the icon I want, but then because I don't want us to add another dependency just for icon, we are going to stick with this for now. Not exactly perfect, but I hope you get the idea, right? So that is going to take care of our row with 2 cars. Now the next thing, which is going to be a text, if I'm right, so if I come here, we have a history text. So just after the row with 2 caps, the next thing is going to be a text. Now we need some kind of a space before that, so I'm going to copy and put this here, and then we can put our text here. So text and then history. Right, and as usual, let's style this. So style is going to be theme, and I don't have any theme variable here, so I'm going to directly go with theme.ofContext dot headline medium. So text theme dot headline medium, and then I'm looking for a bold version of this. So copy it. Font weight is going to be font weight dot bold. Bold, and we have a lot of errors because there is const, and then we have a lot of suggestions. Good. So that is going to be our history text. Now after this, we need to have a list of list styles, right? So I'm going to also copy this, paste it here, just for some space, and then a list of tiles. So in order to generate this list of tiles, I can just manually come with let's say list style. No, I don't want that. Let's imagine you have some array of data, right? A list of some data, you want to loop and then spread them within this list view. Don't put another list view builder within this list view. You can easily do it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use list.generate and then passing the length of the data I want. So I want like 6 of these, and then in this callback I can just return a list style and then pass in a title, which is a text, and says hey there, subscribe, right? And that is going to show an error because the elements list of list style can be assigned to a list type widget. The reason is that in a list view we are expecting individual widgets. We are not expecting an array of widgets. So it's like we are putting another array within an array or another list within a list. So the simplest solution is to just spread whatever data is returning. So we put 3 dots before the list.generate, and that is just going to spread the results here. So when I save, we have hey there, subscribe, and then we can increase the number to maybe 10, and we can scroll, right? We didn't have to put another list view here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 6 of this here, or maybe 8, it doesn't really matter, and then we are going to focus on styling this. So the first thing we are going to do is that if we put an on tap on this list style, you realize that they are close together, right? They are very close together. So I want to have some kind of space between them, and if I bring the original version, realize that there is a space between the list style. I can wrap this in a pattern widget and then give all of them a pattern bottom. There are so many ways you can go about with this, but I'm not going to do that. Instead of using manual pattern, I'm going to use a widget called wrap. So I'm going to comment this out for a reference and then use a widget called wrap. And then the wrap can directly take something called children, which is an array. This expecting an array. Therefore, I can copy the list.generator I just used here, and without spreading it, I can put it directly here without a spread, because then this is within an array, and we have the same thing, almost the same thing. The benefit of using wrap is that there is a way of giving consistent spacing between the children of this wrap. And in this particular case, I'm going to use a field called run spacing. And I'm going to pass it a value of 14, which is going to be the gap at the column side. Right, so now there is space, between these, or there is a space here, right? There is space between a list style and then another list style. So that's going to be it for the list styles. Now the next thing is styling this actual list style. And the first thing we want to do is we want to make the text bold, right? So how do we make the text bold? I'm going to specify title text style, which is if you want to style the title field, the text of the title field. And I'm going to specify that as theme dot of context dot text theme, and I'm looking for body medium, and I want to copy that with font weight of bold, which is exactly the same thing we did for the history text, in the same bold thing. So I'm going to copy it with bold. And now the next thing we want to do, when we have a lot of text, right, we don't want it to overflow and go to the next line. We want to have this kind of ellipses. So let me show. I think they have an example, right? You see we have ellipses over here. That's the first thing we want to do. So how do we even test this? So I'm going to expand this. Hey there, subscribe to this awesome channel if you want more. And already you can see that it's going to the next line if you want more content like this, right? And we want to prevent this. So in order to fix this, what we do is we have a property on the text itself that says max lines, which is the number of lines you are expecting. I want the maximum lines to be just one. I want one line. So all this is clipped off. But then how does the user know that some text is hidden? So we apply another property called overflow, and then we set it to text overflow dot ellipses. So whenever a text overflows, we see this little dots here. Now that is going to fix that. The next thing we want to look at is the icon. So we have an icon before and after. So if you look at this, we have an icon before and then after. So the icon before, we are going to use the leading property, which is whatever is to the left of the list style, and that is going to be icons dot chart outlined. Now when we go to the right, we are going to use trailing, and that is going to be icon and then icons dot arrow forward, and I'm looking for rounded, and we are almost getting there. Now the only thing left is the background styling, and then also the border, which is this border around. So how do we do this? Now I assume that all our list styles will have the same style, which is the same border and then background. So instead of doing the style here, I went to my theme, which is this side over here, and then modified the list style theme over here. So what we need to do is that we need to specify a list style theme. So within our theme data, list style theme, and then we are going to say that we need a list style theme data. And what we are looking for is that we want to change the tile color, and the tile color is not this color. I copied this color from the UI, so I don't know if I can get that color again. Yeah, something like this. 232729. So I'm going to just paste this and paste it after the FF, right? This is going to give us this color we have over there. Now I want to also change the border radius, so I'm going to the shape property and I'm going for rounded rectangle border, and I'm going to set the border radius to be 15 instead of 12. So I'm going to put comma here so I can see what I'm doing well. So this border radius dot not all border radius dot circular, just like this. I'm going to pass in 15, and we can't use a const here. Now the only thing left is our border around the left style, so that is still within the shape, right? So within the shape we have something called side, and that is going to be the border side. And when we just do this, there's going to be a border around, but we don't like the color and we don't like the width as well. So I'm going to first change the width to be 0.5, which is, I want the border to be very thin. And I'm also going to change the color to be colors.gray.shade, not a specific shade, but I think with opacity, something like that, with opacity of 0.3. and comma is missing over here, so that is going to give us this style of border radius. Now there is one thing I left out looking at the card over here, which is I didn't style the card, right? The border radius of the card. So within the theme data, we are going to apply a card theme. So card theme, and then we are going to see that our card theme is going to have a shape of rounded rectangle border, and we are looking for a border radius of 20. And then we also need to copy this for light dark mode as well. And I'm saying that if you put this in a variable, you don't need to do this duplication, right? So now when I save, the border radius of this card looks like the UI, so looks like this. The only issue here is that the background color doesn't look the same as the design. So I'm going to try again copying this background color, which is 23279. It's a little bit surprising that it doesn't actually look like the design. I'm not really sure why. Not really sure why it doesn't look like the design when I use this color, but then you get the idea, right? So so the issue is I didn't apply the color in the first place. So color, and I want to copy the color over here. So the color in the actual design, I'm going to copy this color, XFF, and then paste the color here. Oh, okay. So now it looks like the design, much better. So I left out this color thinking I'd applied it and it didn't work. So that is it. Looks much better now. Yeah, so that's the UI. We are going to look at the next pages, which is the second page and then the last page, but already this video has taken a lot of time, so I'm going to leave you guys here, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. If you have any form of suggestions or anything you want me to look at, you can also put it at the comment section. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and then share it with your friends as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.